welcome to Mums at the Table. Good to have you with us. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Shona.
Now, today we're talking about creativity.
Yes.
But first, let me tell you what's coming up in our show, because we've got Amanda, our dietitian, here. She'll be talking to Gia. We've got our obstetrician, Dr. Woods, also talking to Fiona.
And we've got Dr. Simone, our GP. Yep. And, you know, if you have any questions or you want to know anything, just write into us.
That's right.
And we'll pass those questions along.
Yep.
Well, I'm the one who doesn't work well with social media, but I have learned a few
You were
things.
learning heaps.
I've learned a lot during this isolation lockdown and all the other things that have been going on. I've learned Zoom, and I've learned, you know, how to upload from Facebook, and I've learned how to send my children stuff. So I'm starting the creative role. But I'm going to ask you, all of the stuff that's going on, you know, like we've had all these challenges and we've had all these other things that are really creative.
Yeah, and the fun.
And the fun stuff. Have you felt the pressure to keep up and to make sure that you're doing stuff on social media? There's definitely an element of pressure, but it's not to do stuff on social media. But that's where the pressure is sort of coming from, because that's where I'm seeing it, obviously. But I think I'm feeling the pressure to do the creative stuff for my kids. Right.
Go, oh, I should be doing this, should be a great opportunity to be doing this and that and get into that. And I haven't done as much of that as I would have liked to, just for the sheer fact that I'm working from home.
And you're homeschooling.
The homeschool, all of that sort of thing. So I guess the pressure's there, but in a slightly different way, I guess. So what about you?
Well, no, because I don't have kids at home. So.
No. I meant, as in, do you feel the pressure to be creative or do something on social media? Does that put any pressure on the way you want to, I guess, help out, or, you know?
No, I struggle with social media in my business, so I'm
the pressure is just learning.
I'm quite content with the amount of social media that I do. I'm just going back to yours. So how are you going to overcome that pressure? Like, how do you stop yourself from feeling that pressure?
The way I stop myself from feeling pressure in any circumstance is actually just go through the reality of it. I'm like, Rachel, do you have time for this? Well, yes, I could make this time. Okay, go and do something. Or no, you don't have time, so why are you putting that guilt on yourself? So I always have that reality talk with myself. And that's how I sort of go, okay, I need to let that guilt go, because I've carried too much of it in my life and it's too heavy. I can't pick it up anymore, so I'm learning to drop it.
Are the kids are pressuring you to be allowing them to do social media?
My eldest, an iPad was sent home with her for grade 5 to do some of their work. So she has gone, whoa!
Yes.
So she knows, like, more than me now. It's only taken a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But she's not on social media, but she very much wants to connect with her friends. She wants to Zoom with them, do this with them, you know, all sorts of things with them. So there's a lot of pressure for her to, because she wants to do stuff with her friends.
And that's peer pressure to keep up and to be involved. And
yeah, there's definitely that element. So it's me saying, okay, I need to take this just, you know, for this amount of time, you need a break outside, you know, whatever. But there's definitely pressure, and it's something that's easy to fall into, but we just step back and we go, do you know what? Is this a reality for me or not?
Yeah. Well, tell us how you're coping with the pressure of social media and what you're doing to combat it.
Hey, thanks for joining Dr. Simone and I for a chat. We're talking about how often we should go as parents to get our kids checked up, especially particularly new mums. It can be a daunting time of our lives when we've got all these appointments that we've got to do, but when should we be going to see the doctor?
So a good little tool to keep in mind in this is that every state in Australia, so New South Wales has what we call a blue book, which you get given when your kid is born.
Yes.
And that has little reminders as to check-up times and those sorts of things. So there's a little section in there that says, you know, newborn checkup, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
2 months, 4 months, 6 months, those sorts of things.
Right.
As a bit of a rule of thumb, we like to check up kids more frequently when they're younger.
Okay.
And they go from being tiny to getting bigger over a short space of time. And that's why in the first 6 months of life, we check them every 2 months if we can, as regularly as we can. Sometimes that's associated with vaccinations, sometimes it's not. But that's the time when bubs are growing at their fastest rate. So they go from 3-4 kilos when they're born to some bubs are 7 or 8 kilos when they're 6 months old. So they're doubling in size.
Well, I guess it's a good time also to check with your doctor if my kid is growing at the right recommended rate. So
Are they meeting all their
Yes.
Are they rolling over at the right time? Are
So
they
is that what we're looking for when we go to the doctor?
Absolutely. We're seeing whether they're meeting all of those key developmental milestones that happen in that sort of 6-month period.
Yeah.
Once you get to 6 months, then you found your feet, you know your kid a bit more, all those sorts of things fall into place. And then we can make the checkups a little bit less frequent, but still every 6 months. So we check kids at 12 months, we check kids at 18 months, and then we like to check kids at 2 years old as well. And again, those are the big developmental milestones that happen. They go from at 6 months sitting up, maybe starting to crawl, to at 2 years old they're running around like nobody's business. So there's a lot of things that happen in between that 6 month and that 2 year age group.
Right.
Again, some of those checkups are associated with vaccinations, some of them aren't, but it's always a good idea to have a look through your child health record and see when the next recommended checkup is.
Okay. So do you have to go to these appointments? Is it mandatory?
It's not mandatory. A lot of parents find them really reassuring because they can talk through the issues that they're having with their child. You know, my child is doing these amazing tantrums.
Well, that's right. Particularly as, you know, when you go to mums groups and you're comparing, a lot of mums compare my child's not walking yet, or my child's not speaking yet, or not saying the right word. You know, so I guess this is a good time for us to check those things.
And getting a little bit of a gauge as to the spectrum of normal. So you can have kids who are, you know, perfectly healthy on the 5th percentile of their weight chart. And then you have kids who are at the 95th percentile who are also perfectly healthy. You put the two together and you'll go, oh my goodness, what's wrong with the little kid, or what's wrong with the big kid? But you look at them as a whole and you go, no, we're okay.
Thanks so much, Dr. Simone, for those tips. Now, I know as parents, we just want to make sure that our kids are progressing and meeting those milestones. So check your blue book and make sure that you go to those appointments.
Omega-3s. We are going to discuss what they are and how good they are for you, or actually, we've got Amanda here, our dietitian and nutritionist, who's going to do that for us. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Tia.
So, Amanda, what are omega-3s?
Yeah, so omega-3s are a type of fat called polyunsaturated fats, and they are essential, which means that our bodies can't make them, so we need to get them from our food.
From something,
And they've got lots of health benefits, so they're really important for eye and brain development during pregnancy and childhood.
Okay.
And then as adults, they're good to keep our brains healthy as well, because they've been shown to do things like improve memory, reduce depression.
That's awesome.
But what they're probably most well known for is reducing the risk of heart disease, because they're able to, or they can lower the bad fats in our blood as well as lower blood pressure too.
That's awesome.
They also can reduce inflammation, so lots of benefits.
That's what I know about them. I know they reduce inflammation, which I guess helps your heart as well, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So what sort of foods have omega-3s?
Yeah, so there are 3 types. The first 2 are found in oily fish, and these are called EPA and DHA. And then the one we're focusing on, which is found in plant sources, is called ALA, or alpha-linolenic acid. And what I find interesting is that our bodies are actually able to convert a small amount of ALA into the other 2 types.
Okay.
And the other 2 types have been shown to have greater health benefits
Right,
as well.
but the opposite can't happen.
Yes, no, you can't go from EPA and DHA to ALA.
So that's really good.
Yeah, it's good, but it does mean that if you're not having fish, it is important to be
make
including
sure you have these. So what are the sources that we should be having?
Yeah, so there's not a lot of plant sources of omega-3, but these are the main ones.
Oh, you don't need many? That's fine.
No, you don't need many. So we've got linseeds and chia seeds, walnuts, as well as oils, so flaxseed, soybean, walnut, and canola oil, as well as tofu and other soy products.
Awesome. I use the linseeds for my smoothies, because I put them in my smoothie and my blender cracks them open. And then that way you're getting the source of omega-3 because you have to crack them open, don't you?
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. And like you're saying, it is really important with the seeds, so the linseed and the chia seeds, that you are grinding them and, you know, cracking them open, because your body's not actually able to digest them well. Okay. So to get those omega-3s, you do have to actually grind them.
Because a lot of people, like you said before, you eat a lot of linseed bread, but you're not getting the benefits.
Yeah, that's right. You'd have to chew them really, really well.
Yes, to be able to get the benefits.
But yeah, some other ways to use them. So smoothie is great, but also put them in your brekkie, on your yogurt, on your salad, in a muffin mix. You can really use them
anything with it, really.
Pretty much
and
anything.
You can add it, and You've got the walnuts as
Yeah,
well.
walnuts are great snacks. So have a handful of walnuts, throw them on your brekkie.
So
in
if
your
you're preggers, have heaps of walnuts.
yeah,
There you
lots
go.
of walnuts. That's a great one. Put some tofu in your stir fry, or use some walnut oil as a salad dressing.
Salad dressing, that's awesome. Yeah.
And something else you might want to try is a chia seed pudding.
Yes, chia seed pudding. That's on our website. We've got lots and lots of recipes for you using all these ingredients. Thank you, Amanda, so much for coming today and sharing this with us. We'll see you guys next time with some more tips.
Hey, thanks for joining us for a chat. I'm sitting here with Dr. Wood and we're talking about when to expect your menstrual cycle, your menstrual period to return after you've had a baby.
Yeah. So, firstly, when you've had a caesarean section or a vaginal birth, after the baby's born, doesn't matter, you'll have about a period of 6 to 8 weeks when you'll have some bleeding. It'll be heavy for a few days beforehand, and then it'll get less and less. And by the time 6 or 8 weeks are up, you're going to have just like a brown spotting sort of thing.
Yes.
If you're choosing to breastfeed, then generally if you're fully breastfeeding with not introducing any formula or any solids at all, you tend to not get to period.
Right.
That's the general
For
rule.
the whole time?
The whole time.
Oh, okay.
But once you start either dropping a feed at night time or you've introduced formula or you're introducing solids, so the 4 or 6 month mark,
Right.
that may be enough for your body to then
Kick back Right.
It's very individual. Some women can just breastfeed their baby once at night and never get a period, right?
Oh, okay.
And some women can just like drop one night feed and go down to 1 feed at night instead of 2, and then they'll get their period back. So it's really very individual.
Right. Or you could breastfeed and still get your period, doesn't it?
Correct, yeah. So it's very...
Hello.
And you're also, it's important to note that you can ovulate before your period comes. And so how many people I know have come to my practice and they say, I think I might be pregnant, and you put the scanner on and they're 20 weeks pregnant, they go, what? You know, and so they've ovulated many weeks before. So
it's important to have like contraception.
contraception, if you're going to have intercourse, because it is still about a 3% chance you could conceive before you even have your period.
Because like you've said before in some of our other shoots, breastfeeding is not a form of contraception.
No, it's not 100% reliable.
Yeah.
It's about 97% reliable.
Okay.
So that's... So it's variable from person to person. Now, if you're going to formula feed,
Yes.
then somewhere between 6, 8, 10 weeks, your cycle will then return.
Okay.
And it may be different. It may not be the same. It could be heavier. It could be lighter.
Right. That's why they'd have different sections in the arts, because you have like your high school menstrual sanitary pads, and then you have motherhood
That's right.
pads
Yeah.
for the
so
women.
Cater for all people, you know. So it may be different. It may be heavier. It may not be. It may be a little bit irregular for a while. It may be back to normal. So it's a bit variable, and that's
Okay.
totally normal.
Right.
I guess the only thing is if you're, passing clots and it's really heavy and you're having a difficult to manage.
And this is like 6, 8 weeks after you've had the baby.
That's right. If it's still starting to come back, or if you're continuing to bleed heavily the whole time, don't wait.
Yeah.
Call somebody. Call your healthcare professional, your GP or your obstetrician, and say,
Because there's
"Is this
something
normal?"
else- something
There may be
else.
something not quite right there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wood. I hope those tips have helped you. Keep it locked right here at Mums at the Table.
So we're staying on the theme of creativity and raising kids who are creative. Is this something you do intentionally?
Wow. I'd have to reflect back to to see whether my children are creative or not.
Well, creativity is I guess, about, bringing something about that wasn't there before. Creating something doesn't mean necessarily it has to have this amazing artistic flair,
Yep.
but being creative, making something.
Well, let me throw that to you while I think about this one. Have you fostered creativity in your children?
I think to some extent, yes. I'm not amazingly artistic myself, but yes, definitely I believe in boredom, because I think boredom can it builds creativity, it can boost that creativity.
True.
So boredom, absolutely, I try and, say kids outside play or,
So do you intentionally do that?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't have time to entertain them all the time. I don't have time for someone else to be creative for them. I think that at some point they need to create a bit of that themselves.
So you allow them to make a mess?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Mess is not always creative.
I knew we were going to get that one.
She knew we should get a reaction. Yeah. Look, when they were really young, I was like, oh, I'm going to be this amazing creative mum, and I had this huge bookcase full of like crafts and stuff, and we did the painting and we did all of that. You know, I'd put the big butcher's paper up on the fence, stick it up. Here's your paintbrush. Go to town. Yeah. I think as they've gotten older, I'm less inclined to do it.
And look, sort of for me, I sort of go, well, that's what schools for. They'll
Yeah.
help foster.
I was going to say some people will see
creativity.
that, and then some
Yeah.
people want to do it themselves at home.
Yeah, like we tried all sorts of different things with our boys, like sports and music and art and all the standard creative things, and they just didn't cut it, like they didn't find it, or they weren't motivated enough, or and I'm not one to go, you must do this,
But you provide the
I
opportunity.
provide the opportunity. If it's something they're not keen on doing, then
And
I'm
some
like,
kids will have a bent towards it, I guess. My second daughter absolutely loves to do hair, so I've bought her this doll with real hair, long hair. She will sit there for hours creating braids and all sorts of things into great shapes with, all sorts of things in it. And I'm just like, Scylla, you are amazing at that. You're this young child who's doing these masterpieces on her head, and she's using, her creativity that way.
Yeah.
So
So it doesn't have to be art or music or whatever.
No, it's, I mean, even sport, you were saying before, you can actually get quite creative with sport. I've seen people do amazing things with, basketballs, tennis balls, whatever. And, those challenges you're seeing with the sports guys, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, giving the opportunity, as you said, is probably, the first and biggest step, isn't it?
Yeah, and allowing them to do it,
Yeah, absolutely. Other kids are, not necessarily going to go for it, but at least providing that opportunity, allowing them. And I don't necessarily allow messy creativity. Was that your thing, Shona?
Look, I did, but they had to, like I said earlier, they had to go outside and have the mess outside. We had sandpit, we had water, we had mud, we had paint. I can remember a time when the boys were painted head to toe, and
You probably had the dangerous background, didn't you?
I did. I'm sorry. I'm a farmer's daughter at heart.
You can do, I guess, God in a creative way as well. Spiritual creativity. Get your kids to ask questions about the Bible and think about them and use their mind in a creative way about stories in the Bible. Drama, role play, love it. There's so many things you can do. We would love to hear from you, but that is all we've got time for today. Jump onto our social media, let us know what you do creatively, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.